has had himself put in solitary confinement to protect himself because he's been threatened in jail.
So they picked the jury without him. They picked the jury without him. They started the trial without him. They won't let him bring his own witnesses, all 35 of them.
I'm going to judge shut off WebEx. The excuse behind it was that it was a jury trial.
I have 2 recordings from Kurt today, so or no, 2 days ago. So yes. I'll try to throw them on here. So let's.
If we know people in Seattle, getting into the courtroom tomorrow. It's room 1003, and it's on the corner of James and 6th, the northeast corner. Easy to get to by light rail. It's 2 blocks up from Pioneer Station.
Greetings and salutations. We have an communist Seattle update for you. Anastasia and Jason are here to tell us what is going on with Kurt and all the legal battles we got going on. Hello guys, tell me what's going on.
Greetings. I'm going to leave it to Jason because he's been there every day in court. So I'll chime in, but I want to hear.
Bless you, Jason.
Yes.
All right. Well, a little introduction. I am Jason. I'll use my name, Kohlberg. I live in North Seattle, not too far from Kurt, and he lived close to where I used to live when I first moved to Seattle. And I was introduced to Kurt probably about a year ago. When I first started getting involved with a civil rights group that was working with wrongfully terminated employees or people. Mm-hmm. And I was introduced to him as an expert in pro se that was coming to help out with our group. And, I didn't even know a lot about what our group was doing and didn't know a whole lot of what to ask him. But since then, I've learned a lot. And I did make an effort at one point because I knew Kurt had been involved in the background with WCRC to help with assisting people become, his pro se expertise. And I decided, well, I have the time to help him with his efforts. So I was doing process serving for him. Yeah. And I don't even remember how long ago that was.
He needed it.
Well, let me put it this way. I was asked to volunteer. Well, I volunteered, I should say. I was asked to help him. And I figured, okay, I can do this. I figured it'd be like a few complaints to serve, right? 17. So I spent about a week doing this. And then I talked to him and I said, I'm having a hard time with this. I have other things to do with my life too. And so I spent like a week driving around, mostly downtown Seattle. And it was actually really fun. Had some really interesting interactions with people. I'll share one of my favorites was he served a judge. And so I had to cross the white picket fence, his front yard, pretty short, walk up the stairs, knock on his door. He answered the door with his dog sitting next to him. Fortunately, it was a friendly dog. And let me put it this way. He's like really surprised, and he probably was wondering how Kurt got his address.
Right.
And so I handed him his documents, and he said, "Thank you." I thought, So nice. Anyway, I don't know what came of that. That was probably my favorite one of all of those that I did. So that's how I got involved with Kurt, was process serving. And then it was just 3 weeks ago. I know that a close friend of mine has a lot of interactions with him and talking pro se, and he hadn't heard from Kurt for a while. And we kind of joked about him being in jail. And sure enough, another person on the call looked it up and found that he was in jail.
Yeah.
And so we made immediate plans to go visit him in jail, and found out he had been moved, and that he had moved to downtown, the King County Jail, or I think it's King County Jail. Yeah, it is King County Jail.
Right.
And at that time, he was then limited to 1 hour of visitation per week. So we squeezed it in and got in for that visitation and spent an hour with him. And the timing was phenomenal, because it was the hearing was scheduled for the following Tuesday. So 3-4 days later. And so I'm trying to remember, we all talked about going. There were 3 of us that visited him in jail. And we all talked about going, and I ended up being the only one that could make it. So I showed up. fortunately, I don't know what other groups he's involved with, but I can tell quite a few. And he had it was at least two, it might have been three other people that showed up into court that day. And so it was really quite nice to have some company in the courtroom, getting to know them. We were, kind of a little bit hesitant to.
And this was the first one that we were able to watch on Zoom, right?
No. So
no,
WebEx, the effort was going to be to have WebEx as a visual tool to watch him in court. Have you guys seen him in action?
Yes,
already?
I've watched the ones that they allowed us to get on WebEx on. I watched them. We published them all on YouTube here, so anybody can go look at them.
Okay, well that's okay, good. Anyway, so no, this judge shut off WebEx. The excuse behind it was that it was a jury trial. So he's had no WebEx. So we kind of got into, problem solve mode. And I had the WCRC group that I was going to be sharing information with. And I've asked my friends, Dan and Larissa, I hope they don't mind me talking about them. I asked them I'll do the reporting and basically taking notes through my text messaging and reporting to them and asking them to filter it. And then we've been put in touch with another one. So then two other people that were in the courtroom with me were put. Then I could tell by the way Kurt greeted them that, okay, these are friends of his. So I befriended them and, we made contact with each other. We got to know each other really well. And so they were then kind of contacting that other friend group of his. And so we eventually got put in touch with each other. So I have three people on a text note-taking system that I've been trying to share with. I will say the judge shut me down. I'm describing her as she is subjective and selective in her application of the law, 100%. And so she's got a sign on the door and of the wall of the courthouse about no electronics, no cell phones, no recording, no gum, no this, no that. She lets anything go until she wants to use that law to stop something that she doesn't want to have happening. So there are lots of funny situations. One of them was I was just standing in the middle of what I call the peanut gallery, so the gallery. And I was just standing there, not really thinking about it. And I was standing there after she got started with court, and she said, "Sir?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm standing here." So she said, "You need to sit down." And so, I don't know, a little later on, I decided I was taking a photo of the peanut gallery to show who's where and who's doing what, just to give some visual to people. And then I decided I'll show my side of the gallery by doing a selfie. So I stuck my phone up in the air and took a selfie. And she said something, "Excuse me, what are you doing?" And I said, "I'm taking a selfie." And so she got to the point where she shut down my phone. So I have, it's probably 2 days it was probably about 2 days into the whole hearing or trial, actually, that she cut off my way of texting and communicating during court. And
that was
so
you posting all that. I was reading that. Okay.
What's that?
I was reading that. I had read all the posts you had made. I didn't know who was doing it in court, but now I know.
Okay. Yeah. So my background with court then is I've been there every day. I missed a very important part, actually, because I had to come help my son. And so I missed the jury selection where Kurt wasn't, I'm going to say, I didn't observe it myself, but Kurt wasn't there. And so they did jury selection without Kurt there as a pro se or an attorney. I don't even know. I wasn't there. What's that? And
it's not funny, but you have to laugh.
I don't know how it happened. I don't know how they can even allow that to happen, So jury selection, and then they started the trial without him, and he didn't know that they had started the trial. He eventually got back into court, and we were able to interact with him a little bit from the peanut gallery over the divider into his area. and he didn't even know that they had started, court without him, with no attorney, no pro se, no nothing, and he had no representation. None.
Shocking.
Yep. Yeah. And they're interviewing the prime witness, and so there's so much to say about this. It's like, so if you have questions, let's go with this. I don't mean to just ramble.
Well, no, we were just looking to you to get an update on what's going on, and is all that what happened today, for instance?
Okay, today I went in thinking, okay, I know there's going to be a battle in the morning, because they're having this battle over him carrying around 2 boxes of court documents, evidence, everything that he needs for representing himself. And he goes to his solitary confinement jail cell, and he hauls these 2 boxes around. And I'll back up a little bit and say, the second or third day that I had help with one of his friends, and we put together a second box for him of 2,000 pages of documents. So we delivered this. So now he's got to carry around 2 boxes, and the court let it go, or the jail let it go until it was probably Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday it was through yesterday. Through yesterday, the jail was letting him haul these 2 boxes around, and he would hand one to the marshal, and the marshal would help him carry it, kind of thing. It was kind of funny. And he would hand one to the marshal. So they're carrying these around, and eventually the jail said, no, you can't take 2 boxes of documents back and forth. And so they had a big battle over this. He's battling every single step of the way. So if you see him in action, you see kind of how he operates. And he doesn't back down. I'm so proud of him. He is standing very strong. I mean, unbelievably strong, but also making very smart steps in terms of his balance of pushing the edge where it's good and where it would be harmful to him. So I think he's finding a really sweet spot in terms of his balance. But so these boxes were going back and forth, and then the jail said no. So they left one of the boxes in the jail cell, and there was a big to-do about it that morning and getting him into court. And I'm going to say the judge coerces him. She says, if you want to be able to interview or directly or cross-examine the prime witness, you're going to need to behave. And it takes a while, but it's total coercion.
It's condescension too.
Yeah.
Yes. And I've noted it at least 3 times clearly where she uses his interest in being in court to defend himself as a tool to get him to behave. And so that leads me to talking more about the boxes in last night. So I want to say he finished up his cross-examination of second witness. I'm going to name names here. That was Officer Hughes, I believe. So police officer. And he cross-examined him. And then after that, it started getting heavy, and I'm going to say Kurt that's the most vocally emotional, I'll say. I won't say yelling, but definitely projecting and like putting his foot down in terms of calling, saying the judge is bullying him and saying that he won't be bullied.
That is what's happening, and it is personal.
He has not said anything incorrectly the whole time. It's so deep in terms of, I'm going to say, the lying and deception on the other side, manipulation of the record. What does he call it? Revisionist history, revision of the record. It's unbelievable what's going on, even with the record. So getting a straight record, that's one reason it's important for us to be there. So as much as we can.
Right.
So then he's this whole bullying me and I won't be bullied conversation is about the boxes. It's about, she's telling him, tomorrow you were lucky that you got the second box today.
Oh.
But tomorrow you're not going to be able to bring 2 boxes. She's telling him and he's saying, you're telling me what I can do. And then she later on in that same that same exchange, she said, I'm entering into the record that I've advised Mr. Benshoof not to bring the back. Oh, he said, you're offering me advice, legal advice? As a judge?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, he called it. He's
clever.
like bam, bam, bam. He just nails every little thing so clearly, so articulately. So the legal advice she's offered legal advice at least 3 or 4 times, and he calls her out on it. And so I could tell that this morning was going to be a battle. This is the long story, by the way.
Sure, yeah. That's what we're here for.
It's all a long story.
Yeah.
So I could tell the battle was going to be about the boxes in the morning, and you weren't going to be able. No one was going to be able to tell exactly when court was going to start. And then I kind of got the sense that they were talking about witness interviews, his witness interviews for today, because the judge had told him, well, he gets to directly examine some witnesses that he's called. They've denied him like 35 witnesses. Calling them all irrelevant. And they use that term a lot, irrelevant, to describe anything Kurtz wants to do. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant to what we're doing here,
Well, no, clearly.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant to the kangaroo court.
Right.
That's
right.
Okay, I can go on. So the other thing she likes to do is press the term forward. We need to move forward. You don't get time, because this case needs to be taken care of right now. And I'll give as much time to I'm calling her assistant city attorney. She gets as much time, the minutia of all kinds of details. She'll cut Kurt off. The judge will cut Kurt off all the time, saying, no, we need to move on. We got to move this thing forward. So the moving it forward, what was the other thing I was saying? Okay, so, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
It brings a whole new meaning to
We're talking about the boxes and being bullied. And so, I remembered that it was, so you're asking about today. This is the long story of today. And then today was, I knew it was going to be Battle of the Boxes, and we thought we'd maybe get to the jury, or he'd get some cross-examine some of his witnesses. He called me to the stand. She's like, no. Because I actually had a fresh new document. It looks like you're frozen up there.
Oh.
There you are.
Yeah, we
froze for a second.
I might have just been being still.
Okay, that's pretty still. Anyway, sorry, losing my train of thought again. Calling his witness. So she says he can call witnesses, and she has said that you will get. She essentially said, especially of the star witness, and then Officer Hughes, you will get to directly examine them. Not just cross-witness them, but directly examine them. And she's reneged on that twice. The first time she reneged on it, I think he was hesitant to trust and believe her and kind of not push it. But then she did it again. And so she basically has allowed him no direct examination of any witnesses that he has called, other than the fun one today was himself. So
before you go into that, Jason, what is the name of the judge?
Her name is Judge Andrea Chin. Court 1003, so 1003, the Seattle Municipal Court. We have information to contact the city administrator to be able to reach the presiding judge about what is being done in this courtroom. We know we've had several people write to at least the city administrator. I think we have the assistant city administrator, and whether they're making contact with the presiding judge, we don't know. We also know that his judge is the assistant presiding judge. So
Lisa Mannion is the King County prosecuting attorney. She's an elected official.
Okay.
I've been trying to reach her, but please. I don't know if in the comments eventually you'll get to the outcome of today because I'm waiting. Like, is it over?
It's not over. It's not over. And that's an interesting story in itself. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm reassured about that.
Yeah.
But I really do, because I've been contacting people every day, and I really want more people to rabble rouse with and say, hey, this is unacceptable. So, so we got to get
If we
that.
know people in Seattle, getting into the courtroom tomorrow would be, I do believe it's going to wrap up probably by noon.
Okay. So tomorrow, half a
And
day
so if you got a
tomorrow.
half day to come in on a Friday morning to just be support in the courtroom, I think that'd be super helpful.
Okay.
So anything,
And what is the King County Courthouse? What courtroom?
Yep, it's room 1003, and it's
Okay.
on the corner of James and 6th, the northeast corner. Easy to get to by light rail. It's 2 blocks up from Pioneer Station.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Anastasia, did you witness anything crazy today or recently or?
No.
Every day is crazy. Oh, Anastasia, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, no. I met Kurt in 2020. He was a real inspiration to me about his convictions about no mask and just challenging an unjust law. Particularly just kind of a man who's standing up to these bullies.
Mm-hmm.
I've been supporting him in different ways, helping with, I helped him serve the city of Seattle.
There you go.
And boy, that courthouse has a lot of creepy art. Like this city is really corrupt and creepy, I'll tell you. But yeah, I am in Denver, so I'm not able. It's just breaking my heart. I'm not able to go to stand up for him. But I've been waiting to hear and just really wanting to support. So grateful for everybody who is supporting him, who is getting to be there. And I'm reaching out to friends. I'd written an article about him, Seattle superhero #1. And I had started it before he was arrested. And then he said, I don't have time to finish an article about my heroism. I've got to work on my court cases.
Yeah.
And
have you submitted it as an editorial to any of the Seattle papers?
No, but that's actually a great idea. That's a great idea. I will do that because I did finish it after he's in jail. I was like, oh my gosh, oops, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
There's kind of a beat reporter named Jonathan Cho especially through what I call Twitter.
Okay.
And I've reached out to him. He had seen like our original flyer that we put out, and then I haven't seen any response to that. But keep pushing him too. So Jonathan Cho, yeah.
Cho?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that's great.
So y'all would recommend we call the city manager and the city prosecutor, or
the Seattle City Courthouse administrator.
Courthouse administrator.
Is that Josh Sattler?
Yes, that's it right there.
Yeah,
Josh
and it's a
Sattler.
long hold, but worth it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And you don't happen to have an email with you? I don't have that with me.
I have. Let me get that. So I'll get that.
Yeah, well, y'all just gather up what y'all want to put, and I'll pin it in the first comment under this thing, and then you'll have everything, emails and anything y'all want to put out about it. We'll put it in the first comment, and we'll just pin it there.
Beautiful. Yeah, I've got it.
So what else? How did the day end, Jason?
Okay, so I think we're only through morning.
Oh, okay,
yeah. So he was going to cross-examine himself.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So
that's allowed
this is where Kurt is. What's that? Sorry.
It's supposed to be allowed if you're representing yourself. Kurt
is a genius. It was hilarious, and I don't know anybody that could do what he did today. He worked out a deal with the judge where he would recognize himself as the witness by saying answer before every answer that he gave. And then he would kind of identify going back to himself as attorney, defense attorney, as just saying Mr. Benshoof. And he was pretty consistent about the Mr. Benshoof, but he was very consistent about using the word answer. So considering how fast he was moving and what he was saying, it was fairly easy to follow. And okay, so I think I'm gonna kind of call this the main thing that he wanted to put into the record. I would like to say evidence, but the judge is also limiting what he can have as evidence. So he was, So he was able to enter what he wanted to use for himself as as evidence. He was able to enter them as exhibits, and then reference them in terms of his direct examination. And what they were documents that he had handed to Officer Hughes, and there's video that was used in the case against him. And he'd handed Officer Hughes a packet of what looked to be like 3 or 4 documents separated by paper clips. And on the top one, it says something about a tort.
About what?
And so a tort.
A tort. Okay.
Yeah. How someone's hurt. And he handed this whole stack of documents. This is when the 2 officers are responding to a complaint about I don't know how to phrase this, violation of a restraining order. And so they're dispatched then from where they got 911 and have their cameras on, and then dispatched to his house to go and find, I don't remember at this point if they were clear that his son was at his home. The son had gone there voluntarily. So there's never any instances of this son is wanting to, it's clear through a lot of the evidence presented, the son wants to be with Kurt.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so in
that's very obvious.
So the son is voluntarily going over to his house. He's there. He's worried about his dad getting in trouble. But then the officers are dispatched to his house, and they go and knock on the door. And I will say, I consider Officer Hughes to be very articulate. He was very eloquent in how he presented himself and responding to Kurt. Kurt was very good at interviewing him or examining him. And he was presented on the porch in this video, these documents, and he's like, "What are these?" And they didn't care. He and Officer Wallace did not care about receiving these documents from Kurt. But Kurt is presented in court that the documents that he presented were very important to what they were able to do. Yet they blew them off. They actually, I recall, returned them to him at the door, didn't give them any credence whatsoever. And so Kurt is now bringing up, he's like with Officer Hughes yesterday in cross witness, and now, his direct examination of himself, he's bringing in the details of what these documents that are legal documents supporting his position in what has transpired of this whole thing, that this was an important step, that in the training, in Officer Hughes and Officer Wallace's training, they should have known to look, actually respond to the documents too, not just believe one side and go in and say, we're concerned about this child and we need to take the child out of your,
Right.
off the premises, out of your area. But these documents are important. So these are super important to Kurt's case. So the first thing he starts off with today, directly examining himself, was these documents, and they were, I remember extortion was one of them. I don't remember what the others were, but he was going into detail with these things, and just the back and forth of asking himself questions about these documents. I can't even recite it right now what he did or recall exactly what he did, but it was just amazing to watch him.
Now, did they let him get out of the convict's
recite law.
clothes, or they?
No, he's still in the red. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
In front of the jury.
Yep.
Nice. And so they picked the jury without him. They picked the jury without him. They started the trial without him. They won't let him bring his own witnesses, all 35 of them.
I'm gonna say they did not start the trial without him. Just to be kind of specific about this.
Yeah, please be.
But there was. What's that?
But please be specific. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, for me?
Yeah. Please be specific.
Okay.
When did?
So I'm trying to recall exactly. To me, the way I understood this trial was they had the whole thing. I expected to go in for 45 minutes to 2 hours based on what he had said on Friday. So he's had a hearing. And to me, the hearing would have been to go through a lot of stuff that would be related to a trial and setting it up and, talking about witnesses and organizational stuff like that. Well, they had it all set up on the other side. This was all about ramrodding this hearing, ramrodding everything, and moving straight into the trial within hours. So I actually can't tell you the difference between when they ended the hearing and when they started the trial. I do know that it was probably 2:00 in the afternoon at that point where they were doing the jury selection, and so if you call transitioning from the hearing to the trial before jury selection, there's some trial in there that he was. Oh, this is crazy. Oh, okay, so I've coined a new term. It's called digital muzzling. And there's also now going to be attempted digital muzzling. And what these terms are is they tried to take Kurt out of the classroom, out of the courtroom, put him in the adjacent room with the marshal, put a screen that they connected to WebEx in front of him, force him to listen to what was said in the court, not being able to respond, not have his visual on, but have visual of the courtroom. So he essentially, it's a one-sided, their version of a one-sided way to say that he was in court when in fact he was being digitally muzzled. And so
that's like going on Zoom and they just mute your microphone.
Yep. And visual too. Yeah. So he had no say whatsoever.
Now, when you watch, have you been in any proceedings with the jury?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Have you watched the jury, or how are they reacting?
Yeah. So let's get back to digital muzzling later. But talking about the jury, to break it up a little bit, from what I could tell, I wasn't involved with the jury selection either. So knowing exactly how they selected the jury, but reading them, they come across to me as people that are attentive. No one's sleeping. No one's doing anything erratic. They're kind of paying attention. We had one period of time. Kurt was not present for most of this. I'm trying to remember if he was present for some of it. The assistant city attorney spent hours going over 470 plus pages of Discord exchange.
Yeah.
It was hours. It was so dull. And they're trying to get this entered into the record by date and page and whatever, and it was just crazy. So they're using this Discord to scheduling and in exchange to charge him with 80. That one's probably about 79 counts of whatever. Yeah, violation of restraining order and no contact, I think, are the two big ones. Anyway, so they spent then what else? So today they spent another 55 minutes going over each of these counts, having to talk about the elements and what elements had to be proved to the jury, and then say every single one of them. The judge had to read every single one of these, and it was like, ooh, this is bad. So he's at least entertaining. Kurt is very funny.
Yeah.
One of my favorite phrases was from his opening statement. He called this his kind of Jerry Springer.
So
and then
there could be a possible hope of the jury saving him.
I do believe so, but I think it depends on how willing they are to stick to exactly what the court's telling them to do. If they stick directly to what the court's telling them to do, probably not too good, because he hasn't been able to submit any evidence or do anything to defend himself.
But the jury's watching us some of this, right?
Yes. So if the jury is like, what I would do is I would say, this was not a fair trial. There's no way I'm going to identify him as guilty. No matter what you told me to follow, I would not identify him as guilty.
In good conscience.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
I do believe there is a chance of at least one. There might be more that would do that.
Is it 12? Is there 12 on the jury?
There are 7 now. She's going to randomly dismiss one of them, I believe, probably after closing statement tomorrow. Yeah.
I don't think the city of Seattle does anything randomly.
Good point.
Yeah.
So
Anastasia, tell us. Yeah.
There have been exchanges. We get a little time to banter with him, and he was bantering, I think, with another one of his friends from this other that I didn't know real well before now. Yeah. And there's another judge there that he's supposed to have for I don't know which level of court. He's had this judge 8 times.
Yeah.
I don't know how many there are, but
Yeah.
it sounded to me like this is not random. He keeps getting the same judge that is,
Oh, I see what
anti-terror.
you're saying. So this is a piece I wanted to just see. So are the jury aware? Has it been said, this whole bigger picture, that Kurt is suing the city of Seattle? And by ramrodding him in and putting him away or silencing him digitally or otherwise, they're actually defending themselves from his federal lawsuit against them.
That's right.
Preemptively. Like, has
Right.
that been said? Is that in the courtroom? Because to me, that is the elephant in the room here.
Yeah. So what
I would suggest.
So he is, so for the audience out there, Kurt has pretty much, he went through, they got this small minor charge, and then they built and built and built, and now, each judge violated rights and violated procedure and so he ended up suing them, and then he got the federal courts of judge involved, and now he's suing some of the federal judges, and we're up into the Ninth Circuit now. And so the city of Seattle as a whole has blood on their hands, pending Kurt's fate. And so they all have a vested interest in seeing this man incarcerated.
Put away.
Yeah, put away, because otherwise.
And we're gonna go as far as saying Epstein.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you say why you're bringing that in?
Yeah, because he has had himself put in solitary confinement to protect himself because he's been threatened in jail.
Oh, so they might kill him in jail in order to keep him quiet.
And another person I know that's had people that she knows in jail, she said, people die in jail all the time. It's like, so what? No one cares. They would never know, And so this is something that I think happens fairly regularly. I wasn't aware of it. But that is certainly, he is protecting himself by putting himself in solitary confinement.
Smart guy. And let it be known for the public record that I would consider that a murder, like the city murdered him.
Yes.
Right.
Like that would be the smoking gun here. And
Yes.
and every single person who's involved in this in a corrupt way would be accountable for that.
I believe so. Absolutely. So he has, I'm not going to call it threatened. He's told the judge he's going to sue her.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be the one to serve her his complaint. I'm going to do it, look her in the eye, and
I'll
say,
write a
"Here you
story
go.
about it. Yeah.
Here you go."
Let's plan that.
I don't.
The judge doesn't want to be there.
that.
She doesn't want to do this, but it falls to her because every other one has been involved in so much else with Kurt that it has to be her. And they give her the script and tell her, go up there, and that's why she wants to rush through these things, because she doesn't want to. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear it.
Well, and they also don't want people to rally on Kurt's behalf.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact
No,
that he's got people in the courtroom,
I think that the whole effort right now, the number of people that have come behind him, I think part of rushing this through was to prevent this from happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think that as much as we can write, as much as people can show up to court, especially tomorrow morning is going to be key. And so I think just showing support, whether he's call it convicted by the jury, found guilty by the jury, or whatever you want to call it, or hopefully released of all this, that would be something to cheer about. Because I'm going to put it as odds are not good for him right now, but analysis so far of other people that are helping him are that odds are better for him to take this on an appeal, and both he and the judge have been talking that this is going to go to appeal.
Yeah, these criminals are stupid. These criminals are really stupid because there is way more people watching than they understand. And it doesn't take a whole bunch. It doesn't take a whole bunch to witness a crime. And a lot of us over here are capable of doing what Kurt has done to them. And when they start violating our rights, which is what they've done,
Yes.
the only benefit they may have is that all of us are pretty busy with our own cases. But other than that, give us a reason.
Yeah.
Well, and this
Absolutely.
is a crime.
Yeah.
It's a crime against not just Kurt Benshoof. It's a crime against the city, the good city of Seattle, all the citizens in King County.
And let's say they pick the jury from, let's say, the general political pool. Let's say this is now a political tool, which I do believe it is. They pick the citizens from kind of a random pool of, let's say they're Democrat, right? In general. I would hope that these people sitting on the jury are like eyes wide open now going, holy moly, I can't believe this, you know?
Yeah.
So I hope it's educational for them, and that, you know, maybe that's where I believe. So I do this. I volunteer for WCRC and now volunteer to help Kurt, because I think the most effective place we can change things right now is through the courts. And so him being kind of the general, putting himself out there front line, and doing what he's doing and potentially having a lot of success, it's going to make huge waves and changes. That's one reason they're working so hard to shut him down.
Sure.
I think it already has. I think even if he's convicted now, even if the absolute worst case scenario that he was murdered by the city,
Yeah.
I think he will, the whole thing will just get bigger and bigger and bigger. There's no way for them to stop this now. And I wrote this to Lisa Mannion. I said, you need to do the right thing now, because we are going to put this in front of the people and they're not going to act kindly once they see what's really going on. So one thing I was going to ask is, has anybody talked about the Patriot Act or domestic terrorism? Because to me, this is what this has this feeling of.
Yeah.
But like a covert, like almost like a hybrid, like a bridge. Oh, they're treating him like a domestic terrorist, where they don't have to do due process, but they don't want the public to know that quite yet. So they're sort of pretending it's a trial.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Yeah, no, that is very possible and likely, considering that Brandon and I both we're suing a federal judge down here in Louisiana, and the U.S. Marshals put out a secret memo about us, requiring extra search when we come into the building, and for us to be followed around with an armed guard while we file papers in the courtroom. Now, that's not intimidation or, to redress your government for grievances. Yes, so they're absolutely going to use that and anything else at their disposal so should the people, we and the people, overcome this, it will be devastating to the criminals. To the criminals.
Yeah.
So.
I do think there are elements of that in this. Nothing has been declared openly. You know, the marshals have. I complimented one marshal. I crossed paths with him on the crosswalk at lunch one day. He's been the marshal that's been with him the most, and I complimented him, saying, "Thank you for being so patient with Kurt, because he's given Kurt a ton of leeway with us talking and handing documents back and forth and that kind of thing." And
he knows. He knows.
Well, okay, I got to get back to the digital muzzling story, because this is a big one. There are two big stories to tell on this whole thing. One of them is this. So this was the marshal that the judge was forcing. I could tell the judge was forcing this marshal to basically try to force Kurt to watch and listen to the computer, the WebEx on a laptop. And Kurt was reaching over and hitting the mute or hitting the camera, turning it off. And this happened repeatedly, like 3 or 4 times. And so the judge was starting to get upset about this. She's pretty soft-spoken. So she doesn't really get into the old show my emotions upset mode, but I could kind of tell. And so she was getting a little bit more forceful with the marshal, and eventually was kind of like, okay, turn this stuff off, stand away from him so he cannot touch the computer at all. And I guess there's some kind of little bit of jostle of trying to get it off. But then what shut the whole thing down, the digital muzzling down, is apparently the room they're in has a toilet. And so Kurt pulled down his pants and sat on the toilet.
You know, it's funny you bring this up, because we have a recorded call of Kurt explaining this in his own words. And if I can go find that, I'll throw it in at the end of this video here.
I would love to hear him tell the story, because the judge even told us, you know. And okay, I want using that bailiff as another part of this is the bailiff at that same point was also asked to be the messenger, what would you call him, intercessory to the judge and Kurt. And so she would say, go tell Kurt a message, or go ask Kurt this. and then Kurt would give him a response, and then he'd relay it back to the judge. Well, one of those, well, I don't remember what the exact was, but Kurt responded back with article, whichever constitutional article section, and you could tell this marshal really cared about being exact and not mincing, not mixing up any of the wording. Well, he reported back clearly exactly as Kurt had said, and the judge said blah, 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 to the record. She totally, so his revisionist perspective, Kurt has called her out on this, her revisionist perspective of the record, she will say things, she will change what has happened and what has been said, put it in her own words. Like, for example, when she was saying he couldn't be a part of, I think this was the jury selection or whatever, he had chosen to waive his right. I talked to him today. He said he did not choose to waive his right.
That's
she
fraud.
chose to waive his right.
That is
and she
fraud.
puts it in the words that he chose.
Yeah. So she wants it on the record to cover her ass.
Yep.
And it's so infuriating. I just feel so it's really, really, really outrageous what they're doing, and it should not stand. It cannot stand.
Well, we got to pray for Kurt in this situation. Yeah.
I have 2 recordings from Kurt today. So, or no, 2 days ago. So I will try to throw them on here. So let's in order not to make this 3 hours long, let's try to wrap it up. What's the final word, Anastasia?
Can I tell the glasses charade?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So he's been battling also ADA about not having prescription glasses that he needs to read.
Right.
What is a really bad copy of the Discord 470 some pages provided to him, and he showed this to me side by side, the actual exhibit and the court's copy and the copy used for the star witness. Pretty clear, still small, pretty clear. His is a garbled mess. So he keeps pushing his need for glasses, and they finally scrounged him up somewhere like 3rd floor, and he had asked for 1.0 prescription, and they have only provided him with 1.75. So he has said this is not going to work. So it's a battle back and forth about the glasses. Well, they get into a battle that morning of when the Discord messages are being presented to the star witness and with Kurt in the room at that point. And they get into the battle about the glasses, and eventually they give them to him, and they're kind of forcing him to use them. And he makes a big deal about exaggerating about the light and looking at the documents, and he does stand up and show the difference of the 2 documents and everything. Okay, it looks bad. Or, I mean, he's clearly making a point about being able to read this stuff. Right. Well, then it was hilarious because the assistant city attorney has probably 80-inch screen that she has her documents posted up on this 80-inch screen, and she's across the room from the jury, and they start this presentation of these things on this screen that she's going to be able to clip through, and the jury says, I can't read that. Someone on the jury says, I can't read it. And then a couple of other people say they can't read it either. So they go through the charade, I call it the charade, of moving the jury to the center of the room. Now, they've already made a big deal about anything in proximity to Kurt because he is dangerous, right? So they're moving the jury to the center of the room. It's really stupid. So this is an accommodation they made for the jury. Well, they start getting it into it with the star witness, and she says, I can't read this. Can I get my glasses? So they had to have assistant city attorney look through her purse to get her glasses to have him deliver them on the witness stand. Kurt's like, I mean, if I were Kurt, I'd be like,
that's beautiful.
Yep.
Validating. So validating.
Yeah. So that was one of the biggest ones, one of the most fun. And he's like, I don't know.
Thank you.
Yep.
Made your point.
Yep.
So what I want to close with is 2 things. One is that Kurt is my friend, and he is an incredible, gentle man. He's very respectful to women. He's mad at the mom of his son. It's true, and he has reasons to be. but he's been over to my house. Like, he's just a great guy. I really admire him. And this is, it just makes me really sad what's happening to him. And the other thing that I heard from Dan, who was at the trial today, is that they found, finding this document that proves that he was never served with the restraining order.
That's right.
I mean, that's just, it guts the entire
It was the
case.
USPS certified mail registration number that I looked up yesterday, and it says refused. They challenged him on what refused was today.
Okay.
And then it says traveling through network in transit to next location, next center. I'd have to pull it up exactly, but it's out there. Who knows where?
Yeah. So they just can't. They can't convict. They may, but they can't.
Right.
It just.
Well, they shouldn't be able to. No.
Whoever's in the courtroom tomorrow, if Dan or you Jason, or whoever's in the courtroom, why don't y'all come out, during a break, and we'll do a live stream or something, and y'all can show us around the courthouse or the courthouse if you can, and then we'll see what's going on. Dan was telling us earlier about this certified letter thing not being delivered. So it couldn't possibly be in effect if they didn't notify. But anyway, before we get too long for everybody to listen to the Kurt in his own voice, which I want to put in the back end of this. If y'all have anything else important, let's talk about it. If not, let's do a live stream tomorrow. Y'all just message me and let me know when, and I'll get queued up, and we'll just do it live. See what happens.
See what we can do.
Hey, why not?
And show up. If anyone listening here can show up tomorrow morning, 9:00. It actually, I think they did switch rooms. It'll still be 10th floor, but look for. I couldn't tell which room it was going to be, 1002 or 1001 tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
And it could be later. It'll be there early, but it could be later start because there are morning battles that go on. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm gonna try to clip that and put that in the front so everybody knows that that's urgent for tomorrow. If anybody watches only 5 minutes of this. So. All right, thank y'all for coming on and telling us about Kurt. I've been just sick about what's going on over there. It's just insane.
Us too.
It's absolutely insane. I'm reading all the telegram message of what's going on, and it's just like, what?
So shocking.
What? Is this Russia?
Well, thank you for doing this show, and I want to get this to the prosecuting attorney's office. So please send the clip, the link to this.
Yeah, I'm going to edit it right now, and I'm gonna put it out tonight, so it'll be there tonight and first thing in the morning. So
wonderful. All right.
All right. Thank y'all for your time.
Thank
I appreciate
you.
it.
Good to meet
and
both
let me know
of you.
tomorrow about the live stream. We'll do it again.
Everyone else.
Yeah.
All right.
Ciao.
Have a great day.
Bye bye.
Hello, counselor. How's it going?
Good. It's good.
Yeah, I heard that somebody testified today. That was fun.
Yeah, well, it's the only person I could call, really, so I figured, and plus, I was kind of curious, because I didn't think Katrina would want to cross-examine me, but there was only one way to find out for sure.
You were right. When I first heard that that's what happened, my instinct was like, oh my God, why, right? And then smarter brains, men obviously, said, hey, this is not necessarily bad. And I was like, yeah, well, he's a genius, so if anybody can pull it up, it's you. And then hearing that she did not cross-examine you, well, that tells you everything you need to know, right? So I think it was a good move. It was a good move. Yeah.
Well, and so just so you know, as of like 2 a.m., I wasn't going to testify because I know as a general rule that attorneys don't like it when their clients do that, and I was trying to be respectful of potential situations in the future, and I was trying to think through, like, okay, how could this make things harder for an attorney, right? And I don't, so I was trying to be considerate. But then I was like running through yesterday's testimony in my mind, and Katrina, she played the video of the last time when Azrael ran away to my house, January 23rd of last year, and the cops were on the front door, or on my front porch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just going through that, and I thought of this way that I could introduce all of this evidence of that, I've been giving evidence of crimes by Jade and Magali and the family attorney and their friends, because they opened up. I never would have thought of it, but because Katrina played that video, and in the video, I hand one of the officers a packet of information, and at first I couldn't even remember what I fucking gave Officer Hughes, and then at 3 a.m. I was like, oh my God, I know what I gave him. And it was even better because he testified yesterday. He was like, I didn't know what that was. I didn't want to take it. And in the video, I literally say it's evidence. And then Outland did a redirect on him, or whatever you call it, after I'd cross-examined him, and she was getting him to say that he had no reason to believe that I was giving him any evidence of crimes. And then I realized, most of that 100 fucking pages was my sworn affidavits, fucking notarized, detailing, like David Meerland does, all their fucking crimes. So I was like, okay, I got to testify because this is just too good,
Yeah. You're right. Hearing it this way, absolutely. Genius move. Mm-hmm.
And then watching, so, I can tell a lot from how quickly Judge Chin and Katrina Outland try to object to stuff. And so, and I can see their faces, right? You guys can't see it because you don't have the video, but
nor sound.
Right. I could see, right. I mean, you get the reports later from people who've been in court, but I could see that as soon as I brought up the first criminal complaint, they were fucking nervous. They were like, "Oh shit, we didn't expect this." And then when I pulled out my son's affidavit, power of attorney, they were objecting to that and refusing my ability to even read a single word from it. Instantly, dude. Instantly, they were fucking shitting bricks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Chin was just making stuff up of reasons why I couldn't, right? Because I watched how Outland introduces documents and has her witnesses read from it so that it's all part of the record, and I was just doing what they do, and Chin was like, "Oh no, move on," She would have, if I would have proceeded, she would have found a reason just to throw me out of the courtroom because that's how fucking scared they were.
Interesting. Yeah.
Right, and then I thought of one more thing when I was during Outland's closing arguments today. So there's this thing that I noticed with liars. The obvious liars are the ones who just say positive statements that you can refute. The really good liars are harder to discern, and you have to look for what they don't say that they should be saying, or what they should do but they're not doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I figured out how. Oh no, I don't want to give this away because they're listening.
Don't.
Anyway, so I.
You have a plan, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The other funny thing is, Chin is giving Outland 55 minutes for her closing arguments.
Mm-hmm.
Right, which is unheard of.
Yeah. And so, I heard that you're going to be matched at the same amount. Well, we'll see.
Yeah. So I get, I can basically say whatever I want to. I'm not planning on using that much time, but I took copious notes on the bullshit she was saying today. And, I can see what her angle of attack is and how she's trying to shape stuff, but she's worried, right? She was conceding that, everybody knows that Mr. Benshoof, absolutely loves his son, She was giving me so many points of concession, it's a gold mine to work with tomorrow.
Yes. Okay, so let me just, so you know what was filed. I remember you asked the number, the tracking number for the so-called service, right?
Yeah.
Well, we filed a motion to dismiss the whole case because the tracking shows it was never delivered, and it's going back. It's still on the way back to the sender. So that motion was filed. So.
So on that point, so I got that in the evidence, right? Thanks to Jason, and then Outland tried to address that in her closing arguments by saying that she looked it up and it says that I refused it, and so she started saying that I personally refused the document, and that meant that I basically I got it and refused it. And I objected and said, that's a false and misleading statement. That's a gross misdemeanor, no personal knowledge. Because the fact is this. I don't know why the tracking system says refused, but what actually transpired is that because I have a neighborhood mailbox like 150 yards from my house down the street, where it has a whole bunch of my neighbors. It's a like lockbox system. So if a certified mail goes to that lockbox, and if I don't, if it's a certified mail, they'll leave the certified thing. It'll be like a notice of certified mail in the street lockbox, which will say you have to come to the nearest postal station to pick it up. And if I don't go to the post office with that slip and with my ID before such and such date, they return it. So that's all refused means. I never saw the fucking package. I never touched it. I was never within 2 miles of it.
Yeah, no, the same thing happening here. So what you just stated, that's how it works, yes.
So that's cool. Thank you for working on that.
Well, at least it's on a record on your part, and it's also in record in writing for the appeal. That is going to matter a lot. So yeah. Anyways.
The appeal of So have you even looked into doesn't a municipal court appeal go to the King County Superior Court?
There's going to be stuff happening in the court where you are. Yeah. It's all coming. But anyways, I'm not going to say any more than that.
That's fine. That's fine.
But I can just say that everything has been prepared by you and outside forces really well. Oh, just so you know, the district court has still not logged in the notice of transfer removal, has not given the case number. So I called them today, and they are trying to get me off by saying, okay, well, make the payment and it's going to be logged in. And instead, I filed an emergency TRO on that one today, and copied the chief judge in his administrative capacity, and basically stated that the district court is delaying it administratively directed by chambers upon information and belief to attempt to moot the petition. So they now love me there as well. So anyways.
Yeah, they love to do that stuff from chambers. And so this is the removal for the domestic violence stuff.
Yes. Okay. So now, but I like the fact that I took it to the chief judge. He's responsible. And when I called back after I sent it over, initially the woman that responded was very negative, and that's not how it's done. And then she went and checked and came back and said, it's going to be logged in. Thank you very much. We got everything. So we shall see.
Nice.
But the point was, it's going to go on a record in the fact that in chambers, and we know that it's Whitehead, at least that's an educated guess. And I just did a bullseye, and I did not mention anything about habeas. I was thinking about doing that, but I decided against it because why give them an opportunity to do something that they should be doing when we don't really want them to do it on time?
Right.
So anyways, yeah. So groundwork for another beautiful lawsuit for you is coming. You need them. You're collecting them like collector's items. But so you're now working on your closing arguments tomorrow.
Yeah.
Good.
I've got 10 10 more minutes she's going to do in the morning, and then I get my time, and she gets 5 minutes of rebuttal if she wants it.
Do you get a rebuttal to her rebuttal?
No, I think she gets final word because she's the prosecution.
Okay.
But so basically, she's going to do 50 minutes total. Then I have up to 55, and then she gets 5 minutes of rebuttal if she wants to exercise.
Didn't you already do some of her?
Yeah, she did. She did 40 minutes today. So then she gets to do 10 minutes, and then I can do up to 55, and then she gets her 5 of a rebuttal.
That's actually very good that the jury is not hearing you tonight, because this is going to be fresh in the morning, and when they go and deliberate, they will have everything you say fresh in the mind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I was totally stoked with how it turned out.
And it seems that the jury was kind of bored about going on and ruling on about by the judge. Reading these charges and statutes, and everything was a violation of restraining order. Yeah.
Even the security guard, when we went into the elevator for recess or whatever, he made a joke. He was like, man, Judge Chin could have my kids falling asleep in like 2 minutes.
Yeah. But the feeling about the jury is still positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the people in the stands. The feeling is positive.
That's cool. I don't look at them at all because I don't want them to feel like I'm trying to influence them or read them or anything. So I don't look at them at all. So, but just from like the general vibe of the room, I feel like I watch. I read a lot just off of how Outland and Judge Chin are reacting. And
you have 1 minute left.
And
do you want to call back or no?
Yeah, I'll call her back.
Yeah.
The caller has hung up.
Back on.
Yeah, so I was just saying that, like, reading Outland and Chin is like, they look stressed. Right? So I don't even need to look at the jury because if Outland's stressed, then clearly things are looking good, all things considered.
Yes. I think you really got a good chance there at actually pulling off a miracle.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really stupid move. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it was stupid. I was going to say Chin was so obviously preventing me, A, from testifying, and B, from calling any witnesses. Like, that just looks bad. So they were, by pulling out the criminal complaints and my son's affidavit and power of attorney, I forced their hand, right? They had no good move.
Yeah. Perfect. And then seeing, like you described, them trying to shut down you reading from the stuff that they introduced. And I mean, the jury is observing, and I hear that the majority of the jury, 5 men and 2 women. Is it 7 count altogether?
5
right?
men, 2 women, I think.
Which is kind of interesting that they have majority men.
Right.
I mean, playing on a man, it's like very simple. Mostly it's men that get harmed in these types of relationship disputes. Yes, and so maybe, keeping that in mind, provided that they are not liberal morons, you never know. But on just a human level, they should be more understanding of what you're going through. And if you can see, you were forbidden in the motion in limine, which I actually found yesterday. The whole motion was listed, but they do not list all the stuff at all the cases. This was just under one, and I filed a general objection to it. But in that motion in limine, I forgot what the fuck I wanted to say. But anyway, it was I forgot what's wrong with me. But anyways, what was I saying before that? God, up above.
You before the motion in limine?
Yeah.
You were talking about the composition of the jury and the.
Yes. and the men and all that stuff. That in a motion of limine specifically made an order, a petition by the city and approved by the judge that nobody should mention what your punishment will be if you're found guilty, and that's the 80 years something. What are they going to do if you mention it? But you should maybe weave it in a very beautifully in, well, we heard like hour and a half when the judge was reading each count and what the charges were, but what they forgot to tell you that each of them carries a year, and if you count it together, it's 80 years. And they did, when they removed me from this court, this is what was decided behind my back.
Yeah.
Maybe you're going to weave it in at the very end so that if they do shut you down and take you away, it will look really bad if that's how it ends, strategically. But that would be very good, because that would wake the jury up that this is not just something, a slap on the wrist or anything like that, because they are listening to this and it seems pretty benign and stupid and cantankerous. And if they are like in my jury, when they are like too sticklers to whatever the authority says to them and they would abide, they need to understand that the information is being kept from them.
Yeah.
And the information is that you are facing 80 years in prison.
I know, it's kind of a lot. I mean, I feel like a young and spry 55, but, I'm trying to think ahead to when I'm 136. And
well, today you can live that long, I believe, but not necessarily behind bars. So there you go.
Yeah, because I want to see my son when I'm,
Yes,
55,
and you will.
not when I'm 136.
You're right. But I do, 100%. But I do believe that strategically, if you can do that as an exclamation point at the very end and finish with that one, that would be effective. I mean, just as a thought.
Just hypothetically. No, I
just
know
hypothetically, yeah.
You didn't ever give me legal advice.
I just give you general advice, which I love to do. Maybe all wrong, but I love to do it anyway.
Oh, you're good
Yeah.
at that.
Well,
because your general advice is Napoleonic. Let me just say that.
Thank you.
So the other thing that I actually got on the record in front of the jury is that Chin, like I've been pointing out the fact that Outland, the custodial interference, it doesn't have a date that I committed it. It's a 10-month fucking time range that supposedly it happened somewhere within, which is it violates the constitutional requirement for particularity. Right? And so I've been harping on Judge Chin about this for 2 weeks, right? And I brought it up again when the jury wasn't in the room and we were just going over the jury instructions, just us. And she was like, "Oh yeah, I'll address that, in a few minutes." And then she didn't. And then I brought it up again in front of the jury, and she's still not. She's basically just letting the prosecution have a 10-month time frame. And I'm like, "Are you guys fucking insane? Like, that's not how it works." Yeah. They are slightly insane because. Outland even said in court, I mean, the jury wasn't in there, because I brought up statute of limitations about this issue. And Outland was like, oh, statute of limitations doesn't start when the crime is committed. It starts when we file charges.
That is not true. Yeah.
And I was like, OMG, did I just hear an attorney say
Yeah.
Like,
they can only, my understanding is only if you agree to the extension, then it will start count again. Or if you don't live in a state a certain period of time, then that time is not counted.
Yeah, if you're out of state. But I haven't been out of state. And
correct.
It's like, thanks to Jill,
exactly.
I read RCW 98.04.080 section 1. I know what the fuck it says. Like, don't.
Yeah. No. Yeah, you're making all the good points, which is. Do you want me to read, or do you want to call AJ? I'm just trying to see when he did some closing arguments a few days ago.
Oh, yeah. So is there any chance that he could email that to Jason and Jason could print it off?
Yes, I'm going to do that. Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely smart idea.
I'll try calling him right now, but there's no way for me to, like, write down
Oh, yeah. Sure.
what he has.
Absolutely.
But I'll call him right now just to, like, get an overview and see what he has to say.
Yes, absolutely. That sounds like a great idea.
All right.
Yes, finish line and looking good. No matter which way it is, it's going to be good.
Oh,
And
yeah,
that's the beautiful thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, I feel 100%. I'm happy either way. I've been having a great time.
Yeah. I was just saying to Dan when he called me after he left, it's that you already have won. That's number one on appeal, right? Already. So now we are just waiting the icing on a cake. Are you going to get the jury on your side as well or no? That's just an icing on a cake, which would be like something that you can always say, see what I achieved. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But you already have won.
It would be see what all of my friends helped me achieve.
Well, you know what? There are a lot of people that are helping other people, but it doesn't mean that the major player, the major character can pull it off, because you can have a million geniuses around you. And if you're a moron, it doesn't matter what advice you get. And if you are a genius and if you have a sea of morons, you will still win, because you will pick the advice that the morons are giving because you're genius. So that's how it works. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So you're doing excellently.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks for the props.
You're very welcome.
Yeah,
No. I am not giving just compliments. Oh, no. I'm just giving an assessment the way I see it.
Okay, just a fact now.
Just a fact. I
Okay,
mean
well,
it.
I'll go call AJ.
Yes.
Yes. I'll try to break a leg tomorrow, and
Yep.
I'll touch base with you after I get out of court.
Sounds good. All righty. Good luck.
Okay.
Talk to you later. Bye.
The caller has hung up.